Thank you, Dan. Brian Ramos, Channel Director with Convergia. I'm sure I've crossed paths with many of you during our 3-year relationship with TCG as a partner. Myself, I've been in the industry since 2003. Back when ISDN was the hot stuff, and T1s used to sell for about $700 a month. The good old days for some of us. But we're here to talk about Convergia, about the future. So, why Convergia? Why sell Convergia? When you start your day off with a meeting with a high-profile multinational company, and all you hear is pain points from the CTO, you quickly think, okay, which carrier should I use here for voice, for data, for mobility, even IoT? But then the CTO throws out a curveball at you and asks you, do you provide local support for the countries such as Mexico, Canada, South America? Remember, I don't want to be calling a 24-hour number in the US. Instead, I would like to speak to someone local, a project manager in Mexico, who understands how to operate in the country and will not give my guys the runaround, the simplest form possible. So, give you a good example, what we did here recently. 2 weeks ago, we just closed a deal in Brazil, 7 sites. By calling the local buyer in Brazil and had a conversation with their operations manager. All that in Portuguese. That's right, Portuguese. Myself and my team, we did that. In turn, we made our partner happy, obviously, because not only we can provide support here in the US, but we can provide support elsewhere, where they can't reach. If it's a language barrier, we have you. We got you covered. So, how can Convergia help you sell more? Very simple. If you sell DIA today to your customer, okay, we can help you locally by offering additional services such as voice, mobility, even IoT and MPLS. We have a good infrastructure in those countries we service. So we can back you up in case there's any need for someone local for a conversation between the client and yourself and the partner. So with all that being said, I'd like to introduce you to our operations director, Dante Pasalacqua. He's going to go over some of our product portfolio in a nutshell and take it from there. Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning, guys. Very excited to be here. And thank you for that introduction, Brian. We want to share with you what Convergia is. And as you can see, we want to make focus on new markets and new products. So as Brian already said, let's share some numbers why it made sense to partner with Convergia. First of all, we have been more than 20 years on the market. Probably you're just hearing from us right now, but Convergia is a multinational company. We have been doing this for quite a while, and we are part of a very large group, actually. We are part of a company that is called Future Electronics, and Future Electronics is a company that has revenues in the $7 billion per year, and we're part of that holding, which is also profitable, debt-free completely, privately held, and it has a continuous year-over-year growth. This company, to give you an idea who Future Electronics is a company that is the second largest electronic component supplier in the world. They are the second largest company also in Canada, where our headquarters are located in Montreal. We provide global services in more than 50 countries. We have a ton of alliances. We are showing just a few of them. We have certifications, most of them. We have more than 6,000 people in our team working worldwide. And as you can see, we have corporate offices in 8 countries and offices actually in more than 165 major cities worldwide. So I think it's fair that we are a multinational company and we have a global reach. This is just to show our presence. We are all over the place. And a few things that we would like to emphasize. Yeah, nowadays, everybody's a multinational company. Everybody says, yeah, we have a global reach, globalization and everything. But how many of the carriers that you work with on a daily basis can say that, yes, as Brian mentioned in the introduction, I can provide you a local 24/7 technical support number in many countries. You don't have to call a different country. You will not, it's not just that I will put a toll-free number in, let's say, Chile or Argentina or Peru and route that number to the US. No, we have a local team, we have offices, we have local operations, we speak the language, and that gives us a unique advantage. One of the key things that I like to emphasize is this, and many corporations are looking for this right now. When you sell now to corporations, they tell you, what about taxes? I mean, there are a couple of reasons why companies like to split. You know, if they buy services in Latin America, they don't want those services built here in the US. There are legal reasons, there are taxes reasons, and one very attractive reason is because, you know, the US is one of the few countries in the world where you cannot recover the sales tax. Whatever is added as a sales tax, you don't recover it. In other countries, it is customary that you can recover that. So when you are billed, for example, in Argentinian pesos, for a service that is provided in Argentina, the company recovers the sales tax. So that's a clear benefit. This is our portfolio at a glance. Obviously, we will not have time at this presentation to go over all of it because it's pretty extensive. You can see we have 5 pillars, everything including data, cloud services, voice and mobility, hardware and professional service. I apologize because the font is it's too small, but trust me if you cannot read it, this is internet, cloud, voice and mobility, hardware and professional services. And in total, we have more than 100 different services and flavors. We have everything from, let's say from voice, we have everything from pods, PRIs, SIP trunks, call center, you name it. In data, we do everything from simple internet all the way to layer 2 and PLS. So we have a full portfolio. And the title of the presentation was New Markets. I want to share with you why we firmly believe that Latin America is an untapped potential. Sorry for the back to school, but Marketing 101, there is at least 4 ways that you can sell more, that you can increase your revenues, your sales. Product development, market penetration, diversification, and marketing development. Meaning, in summary, you can develop and sell new products, or you can sell the same that you already know to new markets. That's, in summary, 2 of the main ways to increase your revenue. So, given the opportunity, if you have immediate access to a huge untapped market without having to expend any resources in researching that market, the complexity inherent to that market, without having to understand that new market, if you have that right now, today, which one will you choose? So we propose that we take a look at what Latin America is. So, very briefly, Latin America is currently super stable in terms, generally speaking. There are obviously some issues, but the GDP is growing constantly, and everything, the foreign investment is growing, is politically stable. So we have all the good signs to look into Latin America, and this is just one additional. Actually, when I was doing this research, it came to me as a surprise. It turns out that Latin America represents more trade with the US than even China. And it represents 20 to 25% of the total US trade. with the, with the tariff wars that we all know that are happening right now with the usual United States allies like the European Union, Canada, and China, it stands to reason that this trend is going to be increasing. Just to show you, this is a list of some major corporations in the worldwide that have headquarters located in South Florida. This is just South Florida. There are more than 500 large corporations based in just South Florida. And here is the important part of why we encourage you to look at this in a different way. This is the IT and telecom expenditures in Latin America. The market right now is valued at 2018 at $280 billion. So the total of Latin America is spending $280 billion in IT and telecom services. If you look at the rate of growth, you will see that Latin America is growing at more than Canada and just shy of the United States. Just from 2017 to this year, 2018, the growth is going to be, the net growth is $6 billion in new expenses. New companies are spending $6 billion in additional money in telecom services. So we have researched this for quite a while, and we have found that in many cases, most agents, they are not looking at Latin America. They are not focusing over there. And for very good reasons, actually. When you speak with the people and say, how about Latin America? Most the ones that know about Latin America, they are afraid to enter that market and say they have very valid reasons. First of all, they tell you, we have language issues, there are cultural issues, we have the regulation over there is impossible because you cannot get the same consistent service through different countries. If you go to Brazil, you will get some regulation. If you try to provide a service in Argentina, it's a completely different regulation. The same goes with prices and infrastructure and availability. So Latin America has become a pain point for most big corporations, to the point that they basically try to forget about it and they allow the local operations solve your problem the best you can. They don't even want to touch it. And this is why we see there's a huge opportunity. Why? Because we, Convergia, we will partner with you. And we know this market, and we will help you navigate it and be successful in doing business over there. There are so many businesses that are being decided locally in Latin America countries, not because the corporations here want them to be decided like that. It's because they feel they have no option. It's as simple as that, plain and simple. It's like they don't want to mess with the Latin America, so they say, whoever is the guy, the IT guy in Argentina, go buy internet by yourself, do the best you can. But we have been reversing that situation, partnering with Convergia. Let me briefly just tell you that one account from one agent that we are working right now has represented in just 1 year millions of dollars in revenues for Convergia and hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions for that agent. Okay? We are talking of one company. That's obviously it's a Fortune 500 company. It's a very well known. I'm afraid I cannot mention the name for confidentiality reasons, but that goes to show that one company from the Fortune 500 that is working with Convergia, the Latin American market, is generating millions of dollars of revenue per year. So this is not just a theory. We know for a fact that there's a lot of business to be made in Latin America. So that's for new markets, and I hope that you get at least an idea, a glance of what is to be done in Latin America, and that Convergia is your best partner to do it. Let me introduce you to a few of the products that we have launched this year. First of all, international voice. Yeah, you will be saying, okay, voice. I already know everything about voice. Yeah, Probably you do. You know, most of us, we have been doing this, at least myself, more than 30 years. So voice, we know everything. But what about when you say, yes, I want the voice, I have a voice product. I have a voice project for a large customer, a multinational corporation. But they just don't need somebody from the US selling their, I don't know, hosted PBX, a zip trunk, and shipping the phones over there and saying, there you have the phones. If you have any trouble, call my toll-free number here in the US, and somebody will try to help you. And if the phone breaks or whatever, don't worry, we will FedEx you one in a couple of days. If you look back, most of the cases when you work voice internationally have been handled like that. But there's an alternative, and now nowadays companies are looking for that kind of support. If you want an international voice project and you want to deploy services, for example, in Venezuela, including Venezuela. Venezuela is tough nowadays, but we have an operation in Venezuela. Where you want services in Uruguay, and you can see the full list here, Peru, Chile, Argentina, etc. We have local offices over there. A local office means local sales team, local technical support, local stock. So if anything breaks, you get a replacement within hours, not days. And that makes a huge difference for many companies. Also, as I already mentioned, you get custom billing, and you can decide where do you want to be billed. You want the bill to go to Argentina because it's more, there's more tax benefit for you, for your company? Perfect, we can do that. So, when you select an international voice provider, obviously there are hundreds, if not thousands of options. The idea is we present to you, choose wisely. And one of the arguments is, as I said, it's not the same that you contract service from a company that is US-based and will try to support customers remotely, that when you get local support. Local support is the difference, that's the difference. With all due respect to the companies that operate here in the US, voice providers, most of them, and they provide a good services, I'm sure, but they cannot compete with having local office and local support. When you need it, even if that's one time, one single time, that the network is down, the phones are down, or whatever, and you can say, don't worry, to your client, somebody will be there in person at your office within 2 hours. That's a huge difference. So, IoT. Who has not heard about IoT? IoT is the new kind of cloud. We tend to compare IoT with cloud was like 5 years ago. Everybody's talking about IoT. But many people don't know what to do with IoT. And I believe that's kind of the case for most. Even the people who are involved in IoT, if you ask one of the gurus of IoT and say, okay, please give me a straightforward definition of what IoT is, you cannot get two guys to give you the same definition. Because it's so broad a concept that it's very difficult to pinpoint what is IoT. IoT is kind of, if you like, a philosophy, a concept. So we are going to try to bring this down to earth, and I'm going to just present you a few items on this. There are several layers. You have the hardware layer, you have the application layer, you have the connectivity. Basically, to do IoT, you need at least all three of these. You need some kind of hardware, any kind of device. You need, in that device, you are going to put a SIM card. That SIM card will allow you to have some wireless connectivity and some kind of connectivity that you need to communicate to a central intelligence, to a central place. And then you will have to have some data, some application to process and consume that data. So this is one of the reasons that IoT is so complex, because if you get into detail, every one of these layers is a whole subject on its own. you can spend days talking about the different kind of hardware that you can get for IoT. For example, if you want to do fleet management, the hardware will be a specialized box that will have GPS and maybe engine sensors to tell you the status of the engines of the cars. If you are talking about transportation, supply chain management, you will get a different kind of device, because you will need sensor, for example, to monitor temperature, to ensure that the temperature is within the acceptable ranges. So that's just one of the layers. The other one is connectivity. When you enter connectivity, then you are in a whole different world, because we are talking about completely different protocols. This is not your, this is not Wi-Fi, this is not your standard smartphone or cellular. Yes, they can use the existing infrastructure, but they have specialized protocols. So this is why, in my opinion, we are finding constantly that IoT is a very difficult subject to tackle. And we have tried to simplify it. We offer, let's break it down in two parts: the connectivity and the applications. Okay? Obviously, the connectivity can include the hardware, yes, but we will take care of that. You can buy this from us just if you have a project, or you're just coming into a project, an existing IoT project, and say, you know what, you already have your project of IoT, you already have the hardware, you already have the application. Don't worry, I can offer you the SIM cards, the connectivity, the data plans, if you like. And we have a very aggressive pricing in this. I can tell you with confidence that right now, we have the most aggressive price for low bandwidth. Low bandwidth meaning that your typical sensors, for example, telemetry, and that you can do in IoT. Just to give you an idea, the retail price is about $2 per SIM card for a 10 megabit data plan per month. 10 megabit is really low because we're used to thinking in terms of our smartphones, in terms of gigabytes. But when you're talking IoT and you are talking about sensors that are just sending telemetry, for example, a GPS that is sending coordinates every minute or so, 10 megabits is more than enough. So we have focused our pricing in the lower band up to 100 megabits data plan. And the application services, we have an application generator that will allow you to do a proof of concept in just weeks. In 2 weeks, you can have a proof of concept. Whatever is for healthcare management, whatever is for fleet management, supply chain management, we have 7 different prototypes that are ready to use. With those, you take them and you can show a proof of concept in 2 weeks to your customer. After that, obviously, we can help you develop a full, proper application, but the proof of concept is very easy and is ready. In terms of connectivity, which is the heart of IoT, because you have the application on one end, and you have the hardware in the other end. If those two elements cannot talk to each other properly, there's basically nothing. The data has to flow from the devices to the endpoint, and for that you need a very strong network and connectivity. So Convergia has gone through a lot in the last 2 years to prepare for this, and we have in place agreement with basically everybody worldwide. We can offer you what is called a global SIM card. The global SIM card will allow you to put one SIM card in the device, and you can move that device worldwide. It doesn't matter. You don't need to. There's no roaming charges, and the device will function and will transmit its data wherever you place it. The way that we do this is because of, first of all, the SIM card is what is called operator agnostic, meaning that it's not tied to any operator. It will be able to function and to register with any operator, even if you're operating just within the United States. If the SIM card, which is a special kind of SIM card, detects that it has a stronger signal, let's say from Sprint, than from AT&T, it will automatically switch to that provider. And there's no extra cost for you, for your client. This is what is called smart network selection. The SIM card is smart enough to know where it is located, which are the providers in that area. It will constantly measure the strength of the signal that it's getting, and it will automatically switch to the best option available at that time. It has self-recovery, meaning that if a network goes down, let's say that an operator has an outage anywhere in the world, the SIM card will automatically switch to the second best. And as I already said, we have a very competitive plan. Let's face it, this is an unstoppable trend. Everybody's doing IoT. It's kind of if we go back again, many of us, myself included, when cloud started to sound like a word in our day-to-day basis, I was kind of accepted. Like nowadays, nobody can deny what cloud is and how it changed our way of doing business. IoT is the same. Nobody can stop it. It's going to come and change all the business and the business models. The thing is, how do you go into IoT? And this is our offering. Convergia is here to help you. We are going to be with you since the inception of the project, all the way to supporting your client be successful. And on top of that, right now we have one of the most aggressive prices. One thing that needs to be said about IoT. When you deal with IoT, you will see that it's kind of deceiving. And what do I mean is, you will see that the MRC usually is maybe in the cents. Even the commissions that you will get is in the cents. Because I already told you, a SIM card will sell in retail price for $2 a month. So that's the price, that's the MRC. So you do the math, you will know how much commission can be in $2. Yeah, that's right. But you also have to look at the other number. How many SIM cards per project? And you are talking that a medium project is 10,000 SIM cards. A large project is 100,000 SIM cards. So this is obviously a business of volume. As a summary for IoT, again, we have all the spectrum, and we can go from the hardware all the way to our application. We have the middleware, we have everything. We have a partnership with IBM, with Scripter, with Sierra Wireless, you name it. We have all the alliance in place. But we invite you to start looking into this if you are not already doing it. And if you need, for example, just the connectivity, we can provide you the SIM cards. If you need the application only because you already have solved the connectivity with other wireless operations, that's fine. We are absolutely flexible about this. Finally, I want to introduce our SD-WAN very quickly. And we have partnered with a company that is not that well known here in the US. And the company is called FatPipe. But there's a reason that we selected these guys. They have, I don't know if you can read the quote by Gartner, but they say SD-WAN, FatPipe was doing SD-WAN before SD-WAN was cool. Meaning that they are actually considered the inventors of SD-WAN. And here's the reason why. You can see these guys have been in the market for more than 20 years, and their first product that is basically what we call SD-WAN nowadays was released in 2002, before anybody was talking about SD-WAN, before even the term was coined. So Convergia has forged an exclusive agreement with a worldwide agreement with FatPipe. So we have Convergia SD-WAN powered by FatPipe right now. You get the best of the product, and you get the support from Convergia. We have launched this product recently, and it's available worldwide from Convergia, meaning that it builds on top of what I already showed you. If you want an SD-WAN solution, we can deploy one with you with local support in Latin America today. Not tomorrow, not in a few months. And one of the things, if you already know your SD-WAN, is that you can deploy a huge network in weeks. To give you a comparison, Last year, we deployed a 20-site international MPLS network for a big steel manufacturing company in 20 sites, mostly in Europe. It took us a year to complete the MPLS, because that's usually the time it takes to deploy that kind of network. But if we were to do the same work now with SD-WAN, probably the whole work will be done in 2 to 3 weeks. That's how big the difference is between doing SD-WAN through your traditional networks. I'm sorry, because it's going to be impossible to read, but let me give you an idea. This is one of the reasons why we selected this company, FatPipe, and as I said, we have a very good agreement with this. This is, if you see the first column in green, these are all the features that are supported by the solution that we are offering through them. And these are this is a competitive analysis with a few of the other brands that you may have heard in the market right now. One is Talari, the other one is Silver Peak, and the other one is VeloCloud. All good solutions on their own, but when you compare them head-to-head with the FatPipe, they fell short in several categories, or they need to be supplemented with additional features, add-on features. Okay, and we are going to be announcing a very interesting SD-WAN, speed for SD-WAN in next week. So let me close my presentation with this. What we can do together is, I invite you, I urge you to start the conversation with your clients. Find out, many of your clients even may have not discussed with you that they need services in LATAM, that they have a pain point, an issue with dealing with LATAM. But if you can start the conversation, you will be surprised how many of them are in desperate need of somebody who will help them solve their telecom and IT needs for Latin America. Join us in researching this huge market. There's a ton of money to be made there, a ton of revenue, a ton of spiffs, and obviously commission. So let's do this together, okay? I will leave you with Brian for a second, that he's going to remind you of the spiffs that we have.
Thank you, Dante. Okay, well, I know we talked a lot about LATAM, which is our sweet spot in terms of data and voice. But we also are very aggressive domestically in the US. And the reason why is because we do own NNIs through several large carriers here in the US. And with that being said, we roll spiffs every quarter. We actually have one now that involves the data. As you can see, our commissions are based on the MRC. And what makes us unique is that these spiffs are driven worldwide. So if you sell something in Brazil or Mexico, even in the US, it's all the same. So there's no really restriction or limitation as far as what your spiff's gonna look like. We won't pay you guys in pesos either, so don't worry about that. We also hold aggressive commissions spiff-wise with voice. Again, we're very strong here in the US market. Because we are housed as a boutique type of company, we can be very flexible in terms of pricing. So if you come to us with a project involving voice, I'm sure we can be very flexible in price. So spiff-wise, right in the market, 500% MRC on the SIP deals. Pricing starts at $12.95 a month. So that's our price for SIP trunks. And hosted PBX seat starts at $15.95, and that's with unlimited long distance, which again, very attractive. Worldwide, not just US. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we also have our first month free on our hosted solution. Again, we use BroadSoft as our platform, which most of you already work with BroadSoft somewhat. They're very, very good in what they do, and very steady and solid platform. So we chose them to run our hosted service. We also have since we own NNIs with the several carriers in the US, we have approached somewhat of a special pricing for domestic internet, meaning DIA. So if you look at this slide here, the second slide, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but I'll be happy to share that afterwards. We have pricing on 10, 20, 50, and 100 megs. And these pricing are very competitive. And again, since we are housed as a boutique type of carrier, we can be flexible. Okay, we want you guys to win the opportunity, even though there's so many out there competing for the same customer. We don't like to leave anything on the table. So please, just reach out, and I'm sure we can make something happen.